Hello, what is up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through my painting process for one of my most recent paintings, which is called Mirando El Presente, and a little funny story on that title. I was actually sending my grandma a picture of the painting while I was in the process, and she told me, she asked me what the name of the painting was going to be, and I told her I really didn't know. I hadn't even thought that far. And so she told me that every single painting that I make, I need to put a title so that whenever I show it in an exhibit someday or in a museum or a convention or whatever, that people know what my paintings are called and that they were made by me. So I asked her what would she name it, and she called it Mirando El Presente, which I found it very fitting. In Spanish, that translates to seeing or looking at the present, however you want to translate that. And I just found it really fitting for this time in my life. So yeah, so I'm just gonna start off with a little bit more of the detail choices, because everything else was just kind of freestyling and just filling in all of the empty white space. And so now, as you could see, I used some gray paint so that I could outline a shape for the face that I was going to create. And if you saw what that sketch looked like, it was hideous.
This head looks like Megamind right now.
The fact that I am just adding paint onto the canvas and then painting a face how I see fit. Of course, using a reference photo, but so that I could see the side angle and like how to make the proportions and everything. But from that sketch to where the painting is going right now, I don't even know how I did it. So here you can see I'm taking some red paint to add some color to the face. I don't want it to just be one flat color, because our skin is a mixture of a bunch of different colors. It's not just going to be one solid color. So I'm adding some red to the areas where you might have a little bit more blood flushing to those areas. And then now I'm going to use a little bit of a darker brown to shade in the area for the eyelid and for the eye socket. Just adding some white highlights to some areas and also cleaning up the lips a little bit. So now I just took some black paint, the blackest, actually I didn't take the blackest black that I had first. I had one that was a little bit more gray, and I just went in and did one single curl before I went to go do something else with the flowers. And now I'm coming back to the face, and just so that you can see how my mind works during the painting process, it's kind of all over the place. So I'm taking some white to give my girl that we are depicting here in this painting, to give her a little bit less of some eye bags, and adding more highlights, defining the eye area. And now we're coming back to the curls. So I took a really small paintbrush and I just did some straight flecks with the black paint to create the eyebrow, and just add some more baby hairs around the forehead. And now I am freehanding a rough sketch of a dragonfly so that I can go ahead and cut it out and use it as a stencil, because your girl does not have stencils, so we are creative. We are going to make one. Alright, so we're just gonna take our bougie stencil Not bad. What I was doing here, after filling in that space with the dragonfly, I had a lot of white paint left over, and I'm trying to get out of this bad habit of where I just let the excess paint that I use dry up. So I was just trying to see how I could use that in any way on the painting. And now I've added some of this folk art color shift into a very rich fuchsia color paint. I added some white into a sky blue, and I'm going to use these with this consistency that I just showed. I'm going to be using them to fill a pretty decent area, and I want it to be more fluid, so that's why I wanted it more watery, so that I can use a wet paper towel and kind of drag it across to form like a kind of purple into the sky blue ombre. I've never done something like this before with fluid art. It was my first time, and it took me a couple of times to get it into something that I at least kind of liked. And even if I didn't completely like it at the end, I was just like, let me not work it too much, because I don't want to overwork the paint either and make the colors blend together completely. That was not what I was going for. So I was like, let me just leave it and be happy with the perfect imperfections. Adding a bit more details into these roses and into the leaves of the flowers. Shout out to Pinterest for always hooking it up with different painting tutorials. It was actually on Pinterest that I found a tutorial of how to paint roses. Flowers and plants and greenery are something that I feel like they add so much life into any space. And I know right now I'm talking about style in terms of interior design, but even in paintings, I'm noticing that the more that I incorporate these elements, like, it just brings the painting into life, and it adds another dimension into your painting. And another little personal touch, because I'm somebody that really enjoys plants and flowers and stuff like that, so bringing that into my paintings, that's just another personal style choice. So here I'm just freehanding, again with a gray paint, a outline of a butterfly that I'm going to be painting. So I'm using a color scale from a yellow orange to a little bit more red orange, red, white, black, and I believe a little bit of a burnt sienna color, like a goldish brown. there weren't any shapes that I drew to fill in with the paint. So right now, everything that I'm doing is just freehand. And again, however the shapes come out, that's how they come out, and that's how I'm gonna be happy with it. It was really fun to take different colors and then create the shapes, and that kind of gives it its own ombre effect, like something that would occur naturally in nature. So that was a little fun piece to do. And I've seen a lot of, while I was looking at those tutorials on how to do flowers on Pinterest, I was also seeing like when people would pick up multiple colors with their paintbrush and then they would draw the flower petal. I just thought that was so cool, and I would definitely want to try something like that in the future. So after I drew all of the shapes of the design on the wings, I'm just taking again a really small skinny paintbrush with some black paint, and I'm just filling in all of the white spaces on the wings. This part was so therapeutic for me because I really had to take my time and I had to work very slowly around these small spaces. So it really makes you have to slow down and take your time and really think about the movements that you're making with your hands and with the paintbrush. Again, just going back with that small brush and the black paint so that I don't waste any black paint. I'm just going back into the hair and making it appear a little bit more full, a little bit thicker. I don't know why, but as I was making more of the details on this person, I started to see more and more of myself in the girl. So if you can see on the nose, I put a little dot, and that's actually the same kind of birthmark that I have on my nose. So yeah, you can see as the painting progressed, although I didn't initially intend for the girl depicted to be me, that's what it ended up being in the end. So when my grandma gave that title, Mirando El Presente, I was just like, okay, yeah, this is definitely supposed to be me in the painting. So here I'm just adding a little bit more micro strokes so that I can get the ombre to how I liked it. And then now we are a little bit more ahead in the painting. On the butterfly, I've just added a series of white dots, not necessarily having any idea in mind. I was just putting the dots however they would fit to make it look like a butterfly. And then I took some more of the paint that you guys saw me mixing earlier, and I again just added it wherever I felt I liked it, and this is the result. And I'm taking some more of that paint because again, your girl is not trying to waste paint. I'm trying to make use of all of the materials that I use, that I take out. So I'm using those paints to just fill in more and add more details to the painting. This was another really therapeutic part for me in the painting, just pouring the paint on there and then spraying it with water and seeing how the paint runs and seeing where the water takes the paint. You never really know like how things are going to end up, especially when you use water in your paintings, and if you let the water do its thing. That's something that I've always liked doing since I was a teenager creating art and I would use watercolors. I would always just like to see where the paint takes me. So I'm adding a few more personal touches, just adding some more details, and really I am so happy with how the piece turned out in the end. There was a lot of elements that had a lot of detail, and that's something that really attracts me, and I like to see those really detailed elements, something that you can tell that the artist really took their time on. Whenever I'm appreciating a piece of art, I like to see all of those different elements, but then at the same time, when you look at the bigger picture, you can get like this abstract sense to it. So yeah, you zoom in and you see all the details, but then when you zoom out and you see everything all together, it's just like everything individually, they do not go together, but when you put it all together and you see the finished product, then you're just like, wow, okay, yeah, that really does go together. That's how it's supposed to be. So again, you just see me making more and more paint strokes wherever I felt the need. And I guess if you were looking for a tutorial style video, this is not that video, because although I had a picture in mind at the beginning of the painting, as time went on, it just kept changing into something else and something else. So at the end of the day, I was just doing whatever felt right in the moment. Gotta love that dirty paint water. So here I'm taking a glaze coat or resin mixture. It has part A and part B, and I'm gonna apply that over the top of the painting, and that leaves it with this beautiful glossy finish. So here you can see all of those small details I was talking about. I just wanted to give you a better picture. I'm so in love with how the butterfly turned out and with how everything turned out. I used some gold flakes to add more details and some glam, because that's just who I am. And this is the finished product. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you guys next time.